Welcome to the video on adding and subtracting rational functions. You can follow through and fill out these notes. All right, so hopefully this is something that's pretty easy for you to do, but once we get some variables in there, or later on we're even going to add trig functions in here, we get lost. And so I want to start with just adding or subtracting fractions because it's still the same steps to show you that you can just rely on this information you already know to do more complex problems like these below. All right, so what would be the first thing we would need to do to add some fractions? Well, first we find a common denominator. And a lot of times that means just multiplying the denominators together. So 2 times 3 would give me 6. So I know that each of these fractions is going to have a denominator of 6. Okay, number 2, multiply the numerator by the same number you multiply the denominator by to get the common denominator. So if we look back up here, we could see that it was 6. Well, what did I have to multiply 2 by to get 6? I had to multiply it by 3. So that means I need to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. Here on this side, I needed to multiply by 2 to get 6, so I need to multiply the numerator by 2 to get 4. Okay, and then we just add them up. We're going to add, subtract the numerator, and keep the denominator the same. So 3 plus 4, we get 7. Keep the denominator the same, over 6. All right, so now let's apply that to a different type of problem here. So find the common denominator. Well, if one is not a factor of the other, then we're just going to multiply them together. So we get 3x squared and 3x squared. Now, I had to multiply this 3 by x squared. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by x squared, and I get 2x cubed. Here I had to multiply x squared by 3. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 3, and I get 12x. Now we're going to add them up. So we're going to keep the same denominator. So we're just going to have 3x squared on the bottom. 3x squared on the bottom. And we're going to add the numerator. So this would become 2x squared plus 12x. Okay, there we go. There will be situations where we're going to find out later that we might want to factor the numerator. We're going to go further than this in a lot of cases, but for now, all I want to see is that you can go ahead and combine these, find the common denominator and combine them. Okay, one more problem I want to go over here because I want to draw your attention to a couple things that could happen. All right, so you might have noticed that thus far we've just multiplied the denominators together, and then we then cross-multiplied here to get the numerators. But that's not always going to be the case because here, if you have where one of the denominators is a factor of the other denominator, you might not need to do as much multiplying around. So let's factor this before we decide what our common denominator is. But this would factor to x plus 4 times x plus 2. So we can see that x plus 4 is a factor of this one. So it looks like our common denominator then will be x plus 4 times x plus 2 minus, well, we'll make this one also x plus 4 times x plus 2. Okay, so on the left here, we actually don't need to multiply the numerator by anything because the denominator is what it is already. So this would just be 2x. But on the right-hand side here, we are going to have to multiply. Well, we have to multiply the bottom by x plus 2. So we'd have to multiply the numerator by x plus 2. So now I have x plus 2 up here. Okay, so first thing that you're going to do when you get one of these is to make sure that one of the denominators isn't factorable and you already have a factor in there. The second thing I want to draw attention to is when you go to combine these. So we have our denominator here, x plus 4. We'll just leave it factored for now. But when you combine the denominator, and I'm going to write this down, but it's going to be wrong. So let me write this down and then show you the correct way. 2x minus x plus 2 would be wrong. This is not correct because what needs to happen here is this negative, it has to be distributed to the binomial. And this is a pretty common mistake, so that's why I wanted to bring it up and show it to you. So it'd be negative x minus 2. And then lastly, if we want to simplify the numerator, we would now have x minus 2 all over x plus 4 times x plus 2. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, and give the practice a try.